Hello everyone, this is Princess Farron with another Love and Deepspace video. It's time to analyze the new story branch trailer, Voyage of the Outcast. It's Xavier's time to shine. Or is it? Will the kind and jaded Prince of Philos fall for eternal sleep? The trailer starts with a poem from Jeremiah's collection that Xavier read to the main character, to the MC, on day 78 of the journey, which we can listen to in secret times, starry sound. Soon, we discover that MC and Xavier are in Starfall Forest, or at least it's some forest that reminds Xavier of that place. MC immediately suspects that something bad happened at that place, and that is the reason why Xavier is afraid. He simply replies that he's more afraid of what might come in the future. Once again, we can see that Xavier fears for the MC. He then even tries to send her away, urging her not to stay, to run. After that, there's a cut to what I think may be a flashback to Xavier's journey to Earth and to the past, precisely to find the MC. A voice says it's recommended to refill the protocore energy cells before takeoff. Do you still want to proceed with the launch? So that leads me to believe that Xavier actually didn't refill those energy cells. And maybe that's why they got stranded, or they got sent to the place or the time that they weren't supposed to. And that's why we see that in the story, him and Jeremiah were actually looking for fuel. The trailer proceeds with the sentence, "I knew what the future would entail before I chose this path." So this implies that Xavier made a conscious choice to form the Backtrackers and return to Earth to try and save Philos, but especially MC. MC noticed Xavier's power is fading, that it seems that that space is trying to consume him. And he actually pretty much confirms it, as he says it chose him this time. And he's actually kind of relieved because it wasn't MC and all he wanted was to save her. In the background, we hear a countdown, emphasizing the sense of urgency and even panic as MC watches him almost crumble in her arms. It's like their roles are reversed. They're changing places from what took place in the anecdote when shooting stars fall. If you pay attention, even Xavier's outfit in this trailer is the same he's wearing in the anecdote. And that's in the anecdote is where we are told that MC dies in his arms on the first iteration that he actually met her. The MC then tries to resonate with Xavier, tries to save him, and says she can't control his evil. She's surprised by that. And I think this is where the big bad guys ever probably come into play. So now let's start theorizing a little bit. Not just go through the trailer, but just jot down some ideas. So let's talk about the world underneath. I don't know if you usually read that, the anecdotes and the world underneath, but we can unravel lots and lots of good stuff of lore in those written bits. In the world underneath, Ever mentions that since the unicorn, and unicorn is the name they gave to the MC while they were experimenting on her as she was still a child. Actually, her grandmother was part of that group that was experimenting, and then she left them and eventually took care of the main character. So the unicorn's power, they say, Ever, that is, that it isn't complete. And being so, she could still absorb more power. And they actually mention Xavier's power specifically. And that he would surely give her every bit of himself. And I'd like to remember that in the two previous story branches, MC has already resonated with Zane and Raphael, in both cases to try and save them and ease their pain. I wonder if is she just simply resonating, or is she inadvertently actually claiming part of their power? Um, Xavier ends up sort of dismissing her efforts, saying that it is okay that a planet that uses, and I'll add, hearts, human lives, to survive doesn't deserve to be saved. Here he practically confesses that he failed her, that he couldn't
I
protect
couldn't.
her heart,
I
quite
didn't
literally.
protect you before.
It's a way of
At least,
coming clean
it
about the
chose me
past
this
or
time.
the future because he traveled back in time with the backtrackers to try and save her. And I think that's the journey that we see portrayed in the trailer. His journey with the backtrackers through several bits in the trailer. Um, Continuing to add to that opening up that we were talking about, that opening up, although angsty mood, Xavier also says that he couldn't protect her before. He says, "At least it shows me this time." And at the end of the trailer, we have the sentence, "This time we're finally standing on the same side." However, I believe that rather than being chosen, it was Xavier that actually made the choice, and he chose that a long time ago. We can see proof of this as early as in the anecdote that I mentioned previously, when shooting stars fall. Because at a certain point, MC notices a collar, a sort of collar around his neck, that she describes as a ring of light in a striking and suffocating red. She even asks if he exchanged his freedom for that. And in my opinion, he probably did. He most likely struck a deal with Ever. At a certain point in the trailer, we can see that Xavier's eyes also seem to have lost his light. They almost look lifeless, as that forest seems to be draining him. And although he had complicated feelings, probably even hatred towards Philos, it looks like he's about to become its salvation. So it's very angsty. He was an unwilling prince, and now he seems set to be an unwilling savior of his home planet. But none of that matters as long as he can save his star, MC. Maybe he knew all along that the only way to save her would be to sacrifice himself for her. We can tie this to the lyrics of the main theme of Love and Deepspace, that goes like, "Some long for eternal sleep, an eulogy chanted by stars. Some fall for eternal sleep, their eulogies turn into gleaming stars." And not only that, but in Secret Times, Shining Traces, Xavier actually admits that he too will turn into energy, will dissipate into energy, just like dust, like the poem that he mentions in the beginning. So, through the story, memories, and several interactions in the game, we see that Xavier is always very eepy. He always seems to be very sleepy in a sort of an unnatural way, and this is probably the reason he was being drained. I know that some people also think that he knew he was going to die, because Xavier says that this is his 214th spring on Earth, and it will be his last one here. But I honestly believe it simply means he'll be back to Philos, because once again, in the anecdote, Distant Star, the MC says that 214 year of Philos, and it's the year that Xavier arrived at the academy as a transfer student, meaning that he probably traveled back in time to try and find a solution that wouldn't require Philos to rely on human sacrifices. on the MC sacrifice in particular. That adds up, it's precisely 214 years. And he arrives out of nowhere, apparently, as a transfer student to join the other colleagues at the academy. However, I have another theory regarding how drained he looks. And this one is a little bit more crazy, maybe. It goes back to the red color around his neck. As I said previously, Xavier probably made a deal with Ever, and through the color, they might have been controlling his power, so he could not surpass a certain prowess. It's kind of like Silas, actually. It's mentioned at a certain point that his powers were also being constricted. That way, if Xavier's power was being controlled, he sort of could serve as a battery for Philos for a longer period of time, or even as a battery for the MC, as she hasn't yet achieved her true potential. Or even it's maybe just another way to make him more susceptible to being controlled, as Ever also mentioned that he wanted to use Xavier as a weapon. That would be a perfect way for it. And we know that Ever doesn't look to me they just do whatever it takes to achieve their goals. So that's my theory. Um, my reaction in theory regarding this new trailer. It looks very angsty. Uh, I'm hoping to get a little bit more lore about Xavier's story. And I believe nothing bad will happen to him, at least not yet. So, tell me what your thoughts are about these crazy theories and especially about the new story branch trailer, Voyage of the Outcast. Tell me what you think. And if you enjoy this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. This is Princess Farron signing out. Take care and good gaming. Bye bye.